Hello everyone, and welcome to AustCham Thailand's Business Connections community, an online program where we learn more about the Australian Thai business community. I'm your host, Brendan Cunningham, the Executive Director of AustCham Thailand. Coming up in today's episode, we learn more about the Thai Australian Chamber, a newly formed chamber down in Victoria. We meet an Australian success story in DB Results, and it's back. After a 2-year hiatus, the Great Aussie Bash extravaganza returns. Stay with us. Welcome back. In our business section today, I'm very excited to meet the Thai Australian Chamber based in Victoria. Tessa Sullivan, the president of the chamber, we met a couple of weeks ago in Melbourne. It's so good to see you again.
Yes, we did, Brendan. Lovely to see you as well.
Excellent. And we learnt a lot more about each other's chambers down there, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity for the AustCham Thailand wider audience to learn more about what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. Definitely have goals that align, and there's so much we can learn from each other. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, let's start with an overview. How has the Thai Australian Chamber in Victoria come about?
So the Thai Australian Chamber was originally part of the Thai Australian Network, which was around for about 10 years. We decided to incorporate it into a chamber because we saw that there was a niche and a gap in the market, and it was what we really needed. The former Honorary Consul General, Dr. Simon Wallace, who had graced us with his tremendous service for over 37 years, has retired and gone back to Thailand. And that obviously left a bit of a gap in the market in Victoria in terms of representation of the Thai people. Victoria's got the second largest Thai population, and in Melbourne alone last year, the number of Thai nationals that were born increased by about 43%. So we recognized that, especially during COVID, it was really important to have community-based business and individual service that was able to really provide all the needs for the Thai citizens that are currently living in Victoria. And that's what we do. So very proud to be representative of this wonderful community here.
Okay. And what are your main objectives and immediate priorities of the Thai Australian Chamber?
What we'd like to do is really reinitiate all of those and reestablish all of the groups that were here prior to COVID. For example, we had the Thai Student Association, the Women's Association, and those are really key, important bodies. Obvious as well, there's been the visa changes where we have the embassy has now decided to move all the visa and passport applications to Canberra. So we really try to assist in providing and being a conduit for the embassy and telling the Thai people here where they can go for that type of information. On a sort of ground level grassroots basis, we obviously help with a lot of community issues. There has unfortunately been an increase in domestic violence against women during COVID. And that's been a general thing that I've seen just with my legal background and as a lawyer and officer of the Supreme Court. So we've really been able to, I guess, assist with that type of help, which has been a predominant problem. On top of it, we want to build up businesses again, as we know that in Melbourne in particular, the majority of Thai businesses are in hospitality or beauty, and that really was hit really hard during the lockdowns. So we'd like to really be able to promote those businesses, bring them back, into the positions that they were prior to the pandemic, and prior to the lockdowns. Melbourne has been, as we all know, the most locked down city in the world. We were in our homes for almost 9 months, almost a year. So that was really, really difficult on all the community. And we'd like to essentially be able to help that. On top of it, it's such a prescient year. It's the 70th anniversary for the Thai-Australian business and diplomatic relations. And we really want to bolster that business side. I think that people are really looking towards Thailand now as a key player and as the second strongest Southeast Asian economy. It makes sense. And I think regarding Australia as well, when we look across the spectrum towards Asia, Thailand is the friendliest neighbor. It's the 6th largest importer into our country. It's got the 7th largest international student population coming in. And there's simply so much that the country has to offer. And we really want to be able to highlight that and really increase the bilateral relations that are happening between the nations.
Absolutely. And of course, we had that event while I was there, and there was a lot of interest on both sides. Investment into Australia from Thailand and the other way. So we're hoping that's where we're certainly aligned in pushing the same values there of strengthening and increasing that bilateral relationship. You mentioned Dr. Simon Wallace. He's very well known to a lot of our AustCham members. Can you let us know who are some of the other key players in the community there?
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to have Dr. Simon as our chairman of the Thai-Australian Network for a very long time, for almost a decade. And as I said, honorary consul for 37 years. He still does so much work for us, really, behind the scenes, and humbly does it so. And we are so appreciative of that. On top of it, we've also got some really key board members. We have had Thai Airways and Bangkok Airways. We've got CP Foods. As we know, that's one of the largest importers in the world. I think they're responsible for 65% of the world's global salmon, 15% of all of Thailand's GDP. So a really exciting player to sort of have on board. And there's so much that the Australian public can really learn from a company like CP Foods too. I think what they've done during the pandemic, particularly with freight lines, obviously having to be able to bring fresh food in such large quantities when it's heavily regulated and at such a top speed, has really been a quite admirable quality. On top of it, we've got former Google executive and Salesforce executive who's in charge of all of the Asia Pacific region. That's our CEO, Kun Jack. And he's a remarkable young fellow. He's done a tremendous amount of work, and he's also the original founder of the Thai Australia Network. We've also got Singha and Singha Aus, which is in association with Tangola, which, as we know, is one of the most biggest beverage companies, if not the biggest in Thailand. And they've done some really exciting stuff over here. As we know, Penfolds wine is so well known, and we recently came back from Adelaide, where we met up with all sorts of winemakers from the Barossa, McLaren Vale regions, and we were able to really source, the original Penfolds winemakers as well. And as you know, the grapes are very difficult to grow in an Asian climate, so we've got some really, really exciting initiatives and relationships. On top of it, we have a lot of strength in the community, with our associations with the Thai language schools, and with lots of different chancellors of the universities that help with the new student association. And as well as that, we have our most splendid and most honoured patron, which is the Ambassador to Thailand, Her Excellency Ambassador Busadi. And we are so privileged and honoured to have her patronage. We also have a number of really incredible people on our honorary advisory board. We've got Barry Novi, OAM, a very well-known philanthropist and businessman here. And we've also got our former executive chair, Mr. Joe Perry, who is also in charge of our public relations, and our media advisor, Lucy Morris-Ma, who is a Walkley Award-winning journalist. So we've got a really, really fantastic team, all of which are really passionate and excited about moving forward with this initiative. And if I can be frank too, obviously as a chamber, we are apolitical, non-profit, so people here that are sort of putting themselves out at the fore, and taking time away from their families and their children and their work to really commit to this, has been something that's been really remarkable and really admirable with all the board members and all of our members in general.
Excellent. So what's ahead? What are the longer term plans?
Oh, we have got some really, really exciting initiatives. We're working with the Victorian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. A lot of Chinese manufacturers are now looking towards manufacturing things in Thailand and importing and exporting them into Australia. So we would like to sort of help with that, really on the ground initiatives where we're able to connect these businesses together. Obviously, what you and I have discussed as well, we've got some key companies over there like Lin Fox, and that's such an exciting thing, particularly when you think about what a leader Thailand is in the automotive industry and how much we can contribute to that sort of area of logistics. On top of it, we've got a great initiative with the Royal Children's Hospital that we are trying to put forward with Bumrungrad International Hospital, where we'd like to do a surgical exchange and medical exchange program. Thailand obviously has so much to offer, particularly now that they have been groundbreaking in legalizing medical marijuana. And we were thinking perhaps that we could initiate something that would also have to do with a green agenda, such as a vertical farming initiative as well. And that's a really, really exciting thing. I mean, the fact that they've tapped into this $7 billion industry. And as we know through a lot of scientific research, it is really, really helpful. Cannabis oils have been helpful for children with autism. We're also planning on having cardiothoracic sort of assistance in the fact that there is a wait list for children in Thailand who are awaiting cardiothoracic surgery. And we feel that there would be a lot of benefit to alleviating the stress on that wait list if we had some type of surgical exchange program. We're reinvigorating that from something that I think was in place about approximately 20 years ago. On top of it, as I said, we've got the vertical farming, a lot of green agenda initiatives. We're looking also into working together with a Paralympian, Kathleen O'Kelly Kennedy. She's currently a rower, but she was in wheelchair basketball. Her coach has come up with an extraordinary piece of equipment, a prosthesis for her leg. And he's got a great patent for it. And we've recently learnt that Nespresso in Thailand is reusing their pods to actually make aluminium and reuse it. And we were thinking perhaps it would be fantastic to do some sort of prosthesis with that alongside with the Paralympian Committee. So that would be a really, really exciting initiative as well. On top of it, we've gone, oh, sorry.
No, I'm just, you've got so many things. It's impressive.
Yeah, one of the last ones, but we've gone into Parliament as well and are thinking of formulating a parliamentary friendship group with Thailand, which is something that's been in place before and would also be a reinvigorated program. But yeah, a lot of really exciting initiatives, Brendan, and as I said, a lot
of energy there as well. It sounds like you've got a lot of energy, and the committee. I've met Jack as well, of course. The committee has a lot of energy to get these things going.
Yeah, we do. And we're really, really excited. As I said, it's the 70th year. Thailand's had a great and strong relationship with Australia, even dating back to a former king who was the first Asian monarch to visit Australia, and our current king who was educated and studied at Duntrun Military Academy. So I believe that there's a lot that the two nations have to offer each other. And I'm just really, really thrilled and excited to be able to elevate and promote and support the Thai people. I think it's time. I think it's time that they're recognized for the tremendous amount of work and their fortitude. So yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
We look forward to collaborating with you a lot more throughout the year and of course into the long-term future.
Thank you, likewise. สวัสดีค่ะ ขอบคุณนะคะ
Thanks for joining us. And look forward to seeing you again. We'll keep in contact and look forward to seeing you again in Melbourne, probably later this year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. สวัสดีค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ
Tessa Sullivan, President of the Thai Australian Chamber in Victoria. Coming up next, Connections, and we meet a great Australian success story. Stay with us. Welcome back. In our Connection section today, we meet an Australian success story. A company out of Melbourne that took on Australia, then the world, including Thailand. I'd like to introduce Gavin Bunshaw, co-founder and co-CEO at DB Results. Gavin, how are you?
Good, thanks, Brendan.
Great, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
So I know the DB results story quite well. It is a great story to tell other Australian companies about expanding the business both domestically through Australia and internationally. Can you tell us about your humble beginnings from starting in Melbourne and how the company grew?
Sure. We started the business in 2004 with a pretty simple philosophy. Wouldn't it be good to drive outcome for companies rather than just bill for the effort? So it was pretty much focused, and that's why the results in our name. Most of our work came through referrals in those early days, and we still get a lot of referrals. So wherever we do work, we do such a good job that customers either want us back or they move on to other places and take us there. That's really how we started, and we built that reputation from always delivering what we say we would deliver. Through that reputation, we grew in Australia quite rapidly. We're growing at about 200% per year on year. And one of the people that we worked with in Australia moved to Hong Kong, and so said, "Hey, I need your help over here." That's how we ended up in Hong Kong.
It's not what you know, but who you know, right?
Correct. And then from there, a number of our people also, we saw the benefit, and we'd run a company in previous roles for the Philippines. We expanded into the Philippines, the US, and then more recently, we expanded into Thailand. And so again, continue to grow just based on our reputation, mostly referral work, and just trying to do the best job we can whenever we get the opportunity.
It's a great philosophy to have, just delivering results, basically. Keep it simple and deliver. And I believe that's a key part of the key drivers of your organisation as well. Can you tell us, I really like the purpose of your company that you outline.
Sure. I mean, one of the big questions we asked our company, and we asked the people in it, why do we exist and you're not allowed to pick profit? So, what's the essence of DB? Why have you joined DB? And really, they came up with 4 key things. We wanted to make a difference in society and enrich people's lives, and specifically in 4 areas. And they were health, environment, lifestyle, and poverty. And one of the big things for us is, how can we use the size of company and the influence we have to actually drive in those 4 areas? And I'm happy to say that I think 8 years down from when we actually verbalized that, the proof's in the pudding. We've been able to make significant difference in all 4 areas. And what we do is, rather than just donating money to those areas and doing philanthropic activities, which we do quite a lot of, we actually try to use our skills and our experience and what we do best and bring that to places where it actually makes a difference. And a perfect example in Thailand is Sirat Hospital. We saw an opportunity to actually do something for the Thai people. We saw Sirat Hospital as a great beacon, if you like, of the Thai people, the King's Hospital. And so we thought that using our digital skills and our experience, we could actually bring that and automate some of the paper-driven work so that more people could be seen. And so the whole idea was, how do you get a limited number of doctors and limited facilities, but actually have more people seen? And we've applied that successfully. We built a pathology system for them. We built a surgery system for them. They're very much a partner of ours. And our number one joint aim is actually to benefit the Thai people.
Right. And going through our hospital like Siri Raj, you're certainly doing that. Can I ask, with your purpose, you came up with the 4 key areas. When did it dawn on you, the wonderful acronym you had put together? Was there a light bulb moment there?
Well, actually, an excellent question. It spells help, but when we came up with the 4, they didn't spell help. They were in a different order. We had environment first, because we actually do a lot of work in utilities, and we've actually led most of the smart metering change in Australia, as well as utilities around the world. Health was next, because it was health and well-being, and we saw the expansion of the Internet of Things, and we thought, if we can use that, the health industry from a technology perspective, other than COVID, prior to COVID, was very slow to move. Out of all the industries, it's probably moved slow in the last 100 years than most when it comes to technology. We saw the Internet of Things affecting lifestyle, and interestingly, poverty is a great story. A friend of mine worked for Bill Gates. he came over and he said, why don't you do something with your company? And I said, well, we do a lot, we donate a lot, etc. And he goes, no, why don't you use your people to actually drive the things that affect poverty, like education, like technology, like enabling access to people. And so that's what we did. And so that's how we got the poverty one. But that was the order originally. My co-CEO, the joint founder of the business, Andrew Dean, he came up with the HELP acronym, which is nice and easy to remember.
It certainly is. And so it's been, I remember when you came into Thailand, and I was fortunate to be along with your journey with Siri Raj and learn about your success, which has been great. My question is, what's next then? What's in the pipeline for DB results here in Thailand, Australia, or abroad?
It's great, Brendan. We're having a lot of success with, I'll say, bringing digital to organisations and bringing technology to organisations in a pragmatic and practical manner, not just using technology for technology's sake. So, we're passionate about making changes in health, as well as those other areas I talked about, utilities and financial services. But in health, I think, the work we've done at Sirirat is reusable, it's rebuildable. So we actually would like to take it to more hospitals in Thailand. We're also looking at other philanthropic activities around how we can help the Thai people. So for us, Thailand's exciting for me. It's a different language. It's a beautiful culture. The people are beautiful. I'll be visiting again soon in a couple of weeks. And if we can actually do something and make a difference there, like we're trying elsewhere where we've got offices, then we feel enriched and we feel like we're doing something that's actually not just work, it's actually a passion. So for us, it's growth, not just for growth's sake, it's growth for influence sake and actually making a difference.
And that's good to hear. It's certainly a good business to be in. If we didn't know before, we should have known before the importance of automation and digitalisation, but if anyone didn't know before, COVID certainly picked it up and put it right in our face. It's certainly worthwhile, both in the business sense and in the helping the community sense as well.
Correct, yeah, no, COVID, as they say over here, COVID meant we did 10 years worth of advancement in 10 days as a global economy. So now with that momentum behind it and with people's minds being much more open, I think we can actually make some real positive strides in terms of health and well-being.
Excellent. Well, Gavin, I'm glad to hear you're coming up in a few weeks. I look forward to seeing you then.
And it would be a pleasure to see you face to face, Brendan.
Yes, it's been too long for everyone.
It has.
Great, and thank you for joining us on AustCham TV today.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Gavin Bunshaw, co-founder and co-CEO at DB Results. I think you'll agree, a true Australian success story. Coming up next, community. And great news, the Great Aussie Bash is back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In our community section today, it's back. The Great Aussie Bash, after a 2-year hiatus, is coming back to Bangkok. And I have with me, from the Organising Committee, John Collins from Spirit of 69. John, how are you?
Really good, Brendan. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So it's great news that the Great Aussie Bash is back.
It is indeed. It's it's been 2 years, over 2 years since our last bash, and it's we've tried many times to get one up over the last couple of years, now we are finally going ahead.
We've postponed, I think, around 5 times, and this date now is locked in, and the date is?
It's May 28th.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be at the
Sofitel on Bangkok on Sukhumvit, the one near Soi 15.
Looking forward to it. So let's kick things off by talking about the theme. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that part.
The theme, I've been so looking forward to this. It's Australian film and television, which actually gives you a lot of scope to dress up in the theme, because it's not only about your favourite film or television star. It could be about your favourite TV show, could be shows from overseas that had Australian actors in it. Lots of opportunities.
Excellent. So it's even, I think last time we were chatting, even if the movies were made in Australia and they have characters, you were mentioning...
That's right. I always quote the Great Gatsby. So starred Leonardo DiCaprio, not really Australian, but it was made in Fox Studios in Sydney. So that's in scope for the Bash this year.
So TV shows, you can come as... I'm sure there are going to be a lot of Paul Hogans there.
Yes, I think we'll see lots of Paul Hogans. We'll see, lots of, I've forgotten the show now. You'll have to cut this bit. I had a show, Neighbours. We'll see lots of characters from Neighbours, Home and Away, I'm sure. A few Sharons.
Yes. Kath and Kim.
Kath and Kim, indeed. Yeah.
Good. Now, it could be Australian actors who have also gone big internationally. So if you've got a good enough physique, you can come as Wolverine or Thor as well, I guess.
Indeed you can. Although even for those of us that mightn't have the great physique, I do believe Thor had a fat scene in the last Marvel movie he was in. So there's scope for everybody.
There you go. That's an option for me. Although I do have a character planned.
You do indeed, Brendan.
Somebody who's both an iconic real life character and a movie. So I'm looking forward to that. And
that's right.
I believe you do as well.
I do indeed. I've been preparing for my character for a little while. I've been growing my hair for 3 months now. So it's going to be a great night.
I think John may have given away a little hint there. You can have a think about it. Another big part of the night is, of course, the food and beverage and entertainment offerings. Can you give us some insights into that?
Yeah, look, the food is, of course, it's all about Aussie food that night. So there's going to be an amazing buffet with all your Australian favourites. And indeed, we're even going to have the milk bar there, which will have some classic Australian confectionery, of course, milkshakes, and of course, there's going to be some great wine. We're supplying Shack Australian wine that evening, and Shack is a wine which is obviously made in Australia. It's got great varietals. It is themed around the Australian lifestyle. So when we say Shack, we think about the beach shack, and it's about outdoors, beach, lifestyle, and what us Aussies are famous for. Excellent.
So we're looking forward to the F&B offerings. What about the entertainment?
So the entertainment, we've got a great band coming. They'll play Australian hits. We also have a DJ for the evening to dance the night away. And of course, featuring the great Australian music, which we all love.
Absolutely. At all of our big community events like this, we'll also run activities to raise funds for our CSR initiatives.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what we're doing this year?
Certainly. We have got some auctions planned, both live and silent, and there's going to be some amazing prizes on offer. There's going to be some memorabilia, Australian memorabilia. There's also opportunities to have a round of golf with a golf pro, maybe get a chef, famous chef in Bangkok, to come to your home and cook a gourmet meal. And what I'm really looking forward to is an opportunity to stitch up one of your mates. So I'm not going to reveal too much at this stage, but it'll be, I think, the most popular item we auction that night. So if there's anyone you think you need a little bit of revenge for, or perhaps want to have some fun with, bring your money to the auction. It'll be a great opportunity to have some fun.
Absolutely, and a great opportunity for everyone except for the poor one that gets stitched up. But all money, all funds are going to a great cause. So
they are indeed.
It's certainly be worth it.
But I'm sure even for the person that's stitched up, they'll have fun and get into the spirit of it.
Absolutely. So just a reminder, John, of the details. So the date is...
So it's May 28th, and it's at the Sofitel, Bangkok, Sukhumvit, near Soi 15, and starts at 6:30 p.m.
And going through to late,
and
which
very
we can
late.
do now.
Yeah.
Excellent. We're just flashing that up on the screen now. To make sure you get in and book early to get an early bird ticket, as you can see the details here. And as always, if you need any further information, you can contact the AustCham office. John, I'm really excited about this.
So are we. Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks for coming in, mate.
Thank you.
And that's our episode for today. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.